Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our council meeting, July 25th, 2023. Good to see everybody here. We've almost got a full complement. And before you, council, you see an agenda along with one additional motion outside of the kit. And I'd kindly ask for a motion, please, to adopt the agenda, including the kit item. And moved by Councillor Antle, second by Councillor Locke. All in favor? And those opposed? And that is carried. Thank you so much. Let's do the lands acknowledgement first. We begin today's public council meeting by respectfully acknowledging the province of Newfoundland and Labrador as the ancestral homelands of many diverse populations of Indigenous peoples, including the Beothuk, who have contributed to 9,000 years of history on the island of Newfoundland. Today, this province is home to diverse populations of Indigenous and other people. We acknowledge with respect the diverse histories and cultures of the Mi'kmaq, Innu, and Inuit. We honor this beautiful land together as we strive for collective healing and true reconciliation. Folks, the public council meeting minutes from July 11th, 2023 are there. I'm asking at this point for any errors or omissions. Please let us know before we do business arising. Hearing none, I'm going to call for a motion moved by Councillor Fry and seconded by Councillor Rice. Thank you very much, folks, that we accept the minutes from July 11th. All in favor? Aye. And those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you so much. Business arising. Councillor Lane? No? Councillor Rice? Councillor Antle? Fry? Locke? No business arising? I'm not going to say how short this meeting could be. All right, planning, engineering development. I think taking the lead tonight, Councillor Fry.
Thank you, Your Worship. First on our agenda tonight is the development application for residential intensification, and this is for the property located at number 17 Delaney Avenue. So the city is in receipt of a development application for a double dwelling at 17 Delaney Avenue, and we submitted. Sorry, I'm just getting my place here. As submitted by the property owners of 17 Delaney Avenue. So as per the regulations, the city development regulations, a notice of the application was posted on the city website and published in the Telegram on Saturday, June the 10th. The notice was also circulated to 90 property owners within the 150-meter radius of the proposed development, and that was done through Canada Post on June the 7th. Prior to deciding on the application, comments from the general public were to be submitted in writing no later than 12 noon on Friday. And as of that June 30th, and as of that deadline, we received 3 written submissions, and these have been reviewed by council and staff. So the recommendation of our committee is that we approve the development application for the residential intensification. Is a discretionary use for the double dwelling at 17 Delaney Avenue, and that a permit be issued subject to meeting the requirements of the Canada Post, the St. John's Regional Fire Department, Newfoundland Power, the city's inspection, engineering, and finance divisions, and any other city requirements. And I so move.
It is moved by Councillor Fry, and thank you. Second by Councillor Rice. Questions, comments, council? This seemed to go pretty smoothly, especially from a neighborhood perspective. Meets all of our regulations. Thank you very much. I'll call the question. All in favor? And contrary-minded? Carried.
So next we have our Olympic Drive resurfacing. And the tender for the Olympic Drive resurfacing closed on July the 4th with 3 bids received. The lowest compliant bid was Farrell's Excavating Limited with a bid amount of $798,933.75 HST included. So the committee recommends approval for awarding the contract for the Olympic Drive resurfacing tender to the lowest qualified bidder, which is Farrell's Excavating Limited, in the amount of $798,933.75 HST included, and I so move.
Again, is moved by Councillor Fry and second by Councillor Rice. Comments? Councillor Antle, please.
Just a quick question, Councillor Fry. When will this be started and when will it be completed?
Director Randall.
Thank you, Councillor Randall. We've only in the preliminary stages of talking to the contractor. I expect that this will start soon. This is mid-construction season. They'll probably be there, just my estimate, at least a couple of months. So it'll be through the midsummer, and I'm sure we'll be I expect into September before we're complete. But the deadline for completion of all the work is October 31st.
Any other questions? I have one, but waiting for you folks. Director Angela Collins, would this in any way interfere with Street Jam?
It has the potential to, but we've been discussing and just trying to coordinate. So both departments are aware. So we're just working through it.
Yeah, Street Jam's around the last week or so of August, right? And normally Olympic is the bypass road to help everybody get past the jam on the street, named Street Jam. Director Randall.
My colleague is quite correct. We're having conversations on this. We know clearly what happens up there. Most of the work with the resurfacing of Olympic Drive is not serious excavation. It's most of the term what I call mill and fill. So much of the activity, we should be able to keep traffic flowing there fairly well. There might be some days of local interruption. And if there's no activity on the street, because I know sometimes Street Jam happens to get out into streets, but I'm not sure right now if we're into the street. It depends on what happens, what we can accommodate. So I'll work closely, our colleague, and we'll make sure this happens.
Well, that's great. I just want to just entertain that discussion because we don't want no jam on the street. We want street on the jam, right? Thank you very much. And I believe I'm going to call the motion if nobody else wants to speak. All in favor? Contrary-minded? And carried. Back to you.
Next, we have our roadway storm culvert redesign, and this is on Glencoe Road. So we were advised that there was a section of Glencoe Drive near Civic number 9 that is currently depressing due to collapsed culverts beneath the road. And due to the urgency of this matter, Engineering Services sent a quotation request to WSP E&I Canada Limited for pricing on investigation, design, and tender. And they provided a quote at a total cost of $68,676.85, HST included. So our committee is recommending that the contract for roadway storm culvert redesign on Glencoe Drive be awarded to WSP E&I Canada Limited in the amount of $68,676.85, including HST, and I so move.
It is moved by Councillor Fry again and seconded by Councillor Rice. Job on the committee. Some things do come up during the year. Any questions, council? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Contrary-minded? Motion carried. Thank you.
And I'm going to pass it over to Councillor Rice for the remainder of our report this evening.
Thank you, Councillor Fry. So we're moving right along with a lot of our projects, and it's great to see some of the ISEP projects and some of the allocated funding moving forward. So number 4 on our agenda is the full replacement of water, sanitary and storm asphalt curb and sidewalk for Farrell Drive. This is from on Tapster Road to Evans and section and White Boulevard, Farrell Drive, Hump House upgrades. Addition of a second water tank and wide lift station replacement. This contract recommendation. So the background on this one is the committee was advised that the request for proposals for the full replacement of water, sanitary and storm asphalt curb and sidewalk for Farrell Drive and White Boulevard, Farrell Drive pump house upgrades, addition of a second water tank, lift station replacement closed on June the 29th, 2023. We had 3 submissions were received for this. The lowest compliant bid was CBCL Limited with a bid amount of $1,447,004.75, HST included. So the goal of this project is to obtain a qualified work to company with the City of Mount Pearl Engineering Services Division. The scope of this work will include, but not limited to, the following. Provide primary and detailed design, tendering and contract administration for the full replacement and upgrade of Farrell Drive, Tapster Road to Evans Place, which will consist of all linear assets. Full replacement and upgrade of White Boulevard, which will consist of all linear assets. A complete upgrade of the existing pump house on Farrell Drive to meet or exceed all current and future operational pumping capacity requirements. And a new water transmission line from the intersection of White Boulevard to Taverner to the existing water tower location. To add a second water tower to increase the water capacity to allow future land development in that area. Removal and replacement of the existing lift station on Wyatt Boulevard to accommodate existing and future development. So the recommendation from Planning, Engineering, Development Committee recommends the contract for full replacement of water, sanitary and storm asphalt curb and sidewalk for Farrell Drive, Topsail to Evans section and Wyatt Boulevard, Farrell Drive pump house upgrades, addition of a second water tank, and the lift station, Wyatt lift station replacement be awarded to CBCL, limit for the bid amount of $1,447,004.75, HST included, and I so move.
It is moved by Councillor Rice, second by Councillor Fry. Thank you. Councillor Locke has a question.
There you go. Sorry, Mayor. Not a question, more so of a comment. I'm excited to see this coming through here, Councillor Rice. It's certainly a big scope of work here for this particular area that we often refer to as the Northlands. I'm excited to see the upgrades to our pump house, our lift station, as well as a second water tower to increase our capacity in the area. This is again a part of our long-term planning here for the development in that area of our city, the last, substantial area of the city. So this is great news and I fully support the recommendation. Thank you, Mayor.
Councillor Rantoul?
Just a quick question. I think this is great news, as you said, Councillor Locke. So we're going to get a second tower on the hill. When, I guess that's a long term. It takes a couple of years to build that. It won't be overnight, so.
I think Director Rantoul might be the best one to answer that.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Councillor Rantoul. I wouldn't necessarily call this long-term or medium-term. We'll, if council approves, we'll be awarding this to CPCL shortly. I just want to clarify one thing. The lowest compliant bid, this was an RFP process. So technically, this is the highest rated consultant has been recommended. The bid happened to be this number here. The scope is significant. Part of this work is assessing the capacity and the demands for a second water tower. We're expecting that part of our schedule here is to have this work designed through 2023 with work depending on the packages that are prepared through the fall. And of course, the construction costs are to be estimated and then brought to council for budget for the construction portion. We'll be in a position to, through 2023 in the fall and winter, to then recommend to council projects to advance, which will start therefore in the season of 2024. Depending on the projects that are advanced, that'll then reflect the schedule.
So the 1.4 doesn't cover the price of the tower? Is that where, I missed that? Thank you.
Correct. This is design and contract administration, tender preparation. This is the engineering work that's required to complete the projects for design for tendering. The construction follows.
I don't mean to put you on the spot. What's the rough value of this work? I know this is the engineering piece, and I think context is very important. It's a very good point. Just the rough value, not necessarily something we're going to quote from you, Director, but just an order of magnitude, please.
Your Worship, some of these projects are funded already in our multi-year capital works program. Some are funded directly through city budgeting. So some of this is already budgeted. I'd expect the construction cost range in this to be somewhere in the range of $10 to $12 million.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions? This is a big piece of work, a lot of work to get done before the end of the year. I'll call the question. All in favor? Aye. And those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Worship. So off to the next one on our agenda. So we got our owners project management services for WSP E&I Canada Limited. Proposed consultant change order number 1, increase inspection hours. The background, this one, the committee was advised that due to the volume of capital upgrade work currently ongoing within the city, there's a need for additional resources on site. The city approached its project management consultant, WSP E&I Canada Limited, to provide a cost estimate to increase the inspection time in their own project management services contract from part-time to full-time. So WSP has provided a quote of $93,178.75, HST included, to increase their inspection to full-time to both multiple streets and Farrell Drive projects. So recommendation from PED committee is approval of the consultant change order number 1, payable to WSP E&I Canada Limited in the amount of $93,178.75, HST included, for the additional of full-time inspection services for the duration of the owner's project management services contract. And I so move.
It is moved by Councillor Rice and second by Councillor Fry. Any questions? I'll call the question. All in favor? Contrary-minded? And that's carried.
Thank you, Worship. So we have our building and occupancy permit listing from July the 3rd to July the 14th, 2023. So Planning Engineering Development Committee recommends that the building permits issued for this period showing total construction value of $2,874,016.55 be approved, and further that the occupancy permit listing be accepted as presented. I won't read them out. You can see them in your kit there for your residential and your commercial. Let me get down there, and I so move.
Thank you. Councillor Rice has moved the the building permits and occupancy permits list, and Councillor Fry has seconded. Thank you. Questions? This is all more or less history. We're ratifying this today. I'll call the question. All in favor? Contrary-minded? Carried.
Thank you. So next is our development permit listing from July the 3rd to the 14th, 2023. So the Planning Engineering Development Committee recommends that the following redevelopment permits be approved as presented for this period. And you can see we have 4 there in our kit. For 30 Sagona Avenue from 1047 Topsa Road, 28 Sagona Avenue, and 1027 Topsa Road as well. And I so move.
Again, moved by Councillor Rice and second by Councillor Fry. All in favor? Contrary-minded? Carried. Thanks.
Thank you. So off the number 8 that we have are for information purposes, our capital project update. As everybody can see from all of our items on the agenda, we have quite an amount of ISEP multi-street projects happening, and I guess we're so busy in the city with our engineering and planning department that we had to go out for extra services so we can actually use our funding for this year, which is so important for the city to get a lot of these, ISEP projects moving and completed by the end of the year. So our Spruce Avenue upgrading major underground completed. Our curb installation is now underway to the following biogranular and asphalt. Good to see that project actually coming to a completion. Our Bill Avenue water main lining is completed. Our Roosevelt Avenue portion upgrading work started with existing asphalt removal and underground removals. That's ongoing. Our Birch Avenue upgrading to start mid-August. Our Carroll Drive upgrading to be done in 2024 season. Our ISEP Farrell Drive, Holden Street to Evans Place upgrading. Work has started up there in that area. Existing asphalt removal and new manholes being installed, and the catch basins and leads being connected. Olympic Drive resurfacing to start soon with completion set for October the 31st, 2023. St. David Smart Accessible Playground. We had some some consultants on that site today, and we've had a couple of setbacks up there today. So we're going to move along to try to get those completed by the end of the month, hopefully. So our final commissioning date of that washroom is supposed to be scheduled for today. It's going to be moved forward, and I don't know, Director Rental got a completion date, but I guess we're going to wait to hear back from the consultant on that one, right, Director Rental? Yep. Okay. And so on the end there, we have a caution, please drive safely. So we have lots of areas in our city that are being, I guess, completed or just starting up. So a caution, I guess, to residents and people driving in these construction zones to, I guess, respect the signage that we have up. And I noticed that if you go along most of our streets, they have, for example, Tops of the Road got signs that run right on the other end of Commonwealth Avenue, and they start right down on the other end of Tops of the Road as a warning to the White Boulevard and Farrell Drive area. And while the construction activity is disruptive to residents in this area and drivers and pedestrians, there are construction zones and worker safety is paramount. So we have people with, I guess, stop signs and slow signs there. So we respect the people that are working there. And these projects are replacing and improving critical infrastructure, which most of it is underground. So please follow construction site signage and especially the instructions of the site flag person. And that's it for our report, Your Worship.
Wonderful. Thank you. Very comprehensive. A lot of work being done here in the city, the summer and the fall. And over now to the Corporate Services and Public Works Committee, Councillor Locke.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to continue what Councillor Rice was talking about there with the caution in these construction zones, because I see it too often through construction season. We have these construction zone signs up with reduced speed limits, for example. And many people ignore the speed limits because if they don't see any equipment moving, they assume that, it's not a work area. But there's a reason for these reduced speeds. It could be that the shoulders are more narrow, or that there's some groundwork that done. Maybe the gravel is a little loose. So there's a reason for these, reduced speeds. And even though you may not see equipment or people operating, you still should abide by the reduced speed limits, because too often people ignore that and they blow through these areas. So I'm glad to see Councillor Rice bring this forward. And as we always say in Mount Pearl, worker safety of our own staff and any contractors or consultants that we have in the field, that's certainly always top of mind here. So please, slow down and follow the signs. Thank you, Mayor. I'll jump right into our report now. First item for us are the invoices for approval. You can see here that there's a total of 11, and the total for these is $367,520.26. Just to highlight, the big one there is the water consumption for June of 2023 at $215,369.92. And you can see some of the billings that are coming in for our city days. And again, focus on youth awards, great events. We've had a lot of activity in our city over the past, couple of weeks, a few weeks, and again, enjoyed by all. So it's time to pay the bills. So I move that the amount of the invoices as presented be accepted as presented, and I so move.
It is moved by Councillor Locke, seconded by Councillor Antle. Any questions, folks? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Counterminded? Carried.
Thank you, Mayor. Number 2 for us is the payment register for the time period of June 29th to July 20th of 2023. The total for the payment register during this time frame is $3,945,192.21. And this again is for information of council and our residents. And if there's any questions, we'll certainly be happy to answer those. Okay, number 3. This is a recommendation for the extension of an existing contract. In this case, is for high-vis clothing. And we're recommending that our current agreement, which is up in August, our current agreement with Campbell's Ship Supplies, again for high-vis clothing, that the current agreement be extended for a 1-year term from August 25th of 2023 to August 24th of 2024, with just minor individual price increases on an average about 1.12%. And this is due to COVID and inflation. All other terms and conditions as outlined in the original agreement will stand. And I move that we proceed with this. And I so move.
It is moved by Councillor Locke, second by Councillor Antle. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? And those opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you, Mayor. The last item for our committee are the Public Works Status Report. Again, we know there's a lot of work in the city. See a lot of our staff and vehicles out and about. From roads, we're seeing, repairs continuing with our catch basins, curves, manholes, repairs to lawns, our street and sidewalks are being swept. Repairs to any damaged chain link fences is ongoing, as well as asphalt, household, recycling, and bulk garbage. Those schedules continue to proceed. In terms of parks, phase 2 of the urban forestry plan has begun, and I've received so many compliments about the trees along Old Placentia Road and all the great work that's being done on our beds from a maintenance perspective in terms of weeding. The new orchard, I was delighted to see the weekend down around the new mobile kiosk down there. So I think there's 20 trees planted down there of pears and apples and plums. So it's great to see. We got the lovely hanging baskets throughout the city. Our sports fields are being maintained, as well as our open spaces, our playgrounds, and our trails. From a fleet perspective, our maintenance and servicing is ongoing. And of course, while I hate to mention the word snow, though some people are welcoming it now with all the humidity, we do service work on our blowers, our loaders, our flyers, and promise that by the time the next flakes of snow fall, we will be ready as usual to respond with our high level of service. From UTM's perspective, the general calls continue. We still address plugged sewers, service locates, and new water, as well as sewer service inspections, camera inspections, and any troubleshooting that may come up. We are continuing to go around and repair, paint our hydrants. They look great, the nice bright colors throughout the city. Our leak detection is always ongoing in the city for our water conservation activities here. We're continuing with cleaning out our catch basins, jetting our storm sewers, and any water and sewer piers that crop up. And the last thing here is the water levels as of July 17th, 2023. And this is for our drinking water supply at Baybolt's Big Pond. And you can see that there's a bit of a downward trend in the last couple of weeks, but it's nice to note that our levels are still higher than 2022 and 21, and considerably higher than 2009. And that's it for our committee, Mayor. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Over to the Recreation and Community Safety Report. I believe it's Councillor Ling. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. The first item on our agenda this evening is the Mount Pearl Sports Alliance Memorandum of Understanding for July 1st, 2023 to December 31st, 2024. The committee recommends approval to execute the MOU between the city and Mount Pearl Sports Alliance for the period of July 1st, 2023 to December 31st, 2024, which includes the provision of an annual grant in the amount of $87,000 for the minor sporting community. And I so move.
Thank you. It is moved by Councillor Lane, seconded by Councillor Antle. Any thoughts? Call the question. All in favor? Those opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, the second item on our agenda is the fitness equipment tender TP 23019 approval to award. The committee recommends approval to award the fitness equipment tender to 2 vendors, Johnson Health Technologies for the 2 ellipticals, 3 upright bikes, and 2 recumbent bikes in the amount of $40,874.45, and to Spartan Fitness for 1 multi-gym and 1 SciFit total body exerciser in the amount of $23,115. In an effort to continuously improve on the service delivery for all the fitness members and to continue end-of-life cycle replacement for some pieces of equipment, a tender was issued for the supply and installation of the 2 ellipticals, 3 upright bikes, 2 recumbent bikes, and 1 SciFit body exerciser, and 1 multi-gym. The fitness equipment tender closed on May 17th, 2023 with 3 bids received. The funds for the fitness equipment purchased are allocated within the Recreation and Community Safety Department 2023 budget. And I so move.
It is moved by Councillor Lane, seconded by Councillor Antle. Any conversation, folks? You want to jump in? Questions? I'll call the question. All in favor? Those opposed? Carried.
And I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Councillor Antle.
Thank you. Worship, and I have two here, one outside of the case, I'll bring it after. First one is number 3, is the supply of first aid supplies tender. The committee recommends approval to award the first aid supplies tender TP 23-21 to Northern First Aid at the quoted price of $3,735.05, HST included, for delivery to the Summit Center, the Glacier, City Hall, and City Depot. The first aid supplies tender in securing a single first aid provider for all the city facilities has provided consistency in supply and service, as well as being financially prudent. The tender closed on June 5th, 2023, and there were 5 bids received. The purchase of the first aid supplies is part of the annual operating within the Glacier, Summit, and OHS budgets, and I so move.
Moved by Councillor Antle and seconded by Councillor Lane. Thank you very much. Anybody have a question? Councillor Rice.
So just, I guess, point of clarification on this one. So, so will they, I guess, because I know there's an expiry date on the first aid equipment, so the old stuff will come out and the new stuff will go in. Is that right?
That's correct.
Anything further? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Those opposed? And carried.
Thank you, Your Worship. And the last one for our committee is a capital, with regards to our capital investment plan. The department is recommending that the city of Mount Pearl submit its capital investment plan to the Department of Environment, Climate Change, and municipalities for the gas tax funding in the amount of $490,712.22, inclusive of HST, for the Canada Games baseball upgrades. And this has to do with the summer games in 2025. And this upgrades our baseball field to tournament level. It's going to be a great addition to the city, and it's something that's going to be another jewel in our hat. And I so move.
Moved by Councillor Antle and seconded by Councillor Lane. Any questions, comments? I'm going to ask the director if he could just give us a high level overview of, I know one major change that's going to happen at the baseball field where senior ball and junior and minor ball gets played will be the addition of some clay.
Yes, part of the upgrades, some are required and some are upgrades to attract future tournaments outside of the Canada Games, but it includes changing the infield from sand to clay, redoing the bullpen. So on each side in the foul territory, you'll have 2 pitchers' mounds on each side. So for pitchers warming up to go into the game and prior to games. And there is a requirement for 2 batting cages. Currently, we have 1, and then there's others. One other thing we are doing actually, in and around, we're adding some more accessible bleachers, and we're making the site more accessible as well. So we're putting on quarter minus, which you see on some of our trails, and that'll also make entry into around the ball park. It'll be more accessible as well.
Thank you. So down the road, you're going to be asking us to approve roughly $500,000. Possibly. This is not quite that amount of money. What do you think the overall cost will be for that particular area?
You rephrase, I'm not sure exactly what you mean with the area.
The motion calls for approval of gas tax for 490. So down the road, we're going to be asked to approve tenders, RFPs related to that. So when that happens, we're spending $500,000 on one event. Is it the 2025 Newfoundland and Labrador, Canada Games? Or is it more than that?
It's much more than that. Canada Games are happening there in 2025. I certainly anticipate there'll be some national tournaments in 2024. And then also this allows us and gives us the ability to track other larger scale, high demand tournaments, junior nationals, senior nationals, as well as other minor baseball tournaments.
Well, I think it's a wonderful way to promote our city, both internally in the province and on a national scene. So I'm going to call the question. If there's no other commentary, thank you for indulging me. I'll call the question. All in favor? And those opposed? And that motion is carried too. Thank you. Now we begin the roundtable. I'm going to start tonight. I believe next in order will be Councillor Antle.
Thank you, Worship. I only got a few things. It'll take about an hour, hour and a half, so sit back. I got a couple things. It'll be nice and quick. Now, right now, happening in the city, we have, it's good news, is the Canadian Ball Hockey Championships are happening in our city starting tomorrow and running until Saturday. The Glacier Arena will be one of the 4 arenas in the metro area that are hosting the ball hockey championships. Anybody can feel free to drop up and take a look. The Glacier area will be decided to play for the under 15, under 17, and under 19 boys, and the under 16 and under 19 girls. The national tournament will begin tomorrow and run until Saturday, July 29th, where the Glacier will host the final A bronze and B gold games. There'll be over 750 athletes here in the city in the next couple of days. So that's going to be lots of people around. It's great to see. The tournament is organized by the Newfoundland and Labrador Ball Hockey Association with a delegation to assist the host committee coming from the Canadian Ball Hockey. So we're quite happy to see that. And the last thing for me, Your Worship, is every Friday here in the park, right here in Centennial Square, drop by for a concert. Last Friday, there was a good crowd here. Live local performers, and this weekend we have Steve Kennedy. So drop by Friday afternoon, and we hope to see you there. And that's everything for me, Your Worship.
Thank you there, Councillor Antle, for the good words on that. It was great to see. It was great to see actually national tournaments come here, and I was going to comment on as well because you know it's getting a national tournament is such a prestige event to carry, and is so glad to that's happening here the weekend. I'm hoping to get up to some of the events to see him. So great stuff happening here in Mount Pearl. No, not yet. So anyway, I just want to make a comment. I had a couple items there, but one of the comments I want to make is the it makes me proud as a councillor in the city of Mount Pearl to attend our city events that happened. It all started off, I guess, Thursday with our Best in Mount Pearl Awards on Thursday night, and then it went into our City Days events that happened Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I just want to say, a big kudos to all the city staff and our recreation director and Rosie Stead, who, I know there's a lot of people behind the scenes that did a lot of work, and I made the comment about the volunteers as well. This is a quite amount of work to put off and put together, and not only does it went so smoothly, but it took months, I guess, to plan this and get all the acts and the venues and the rentals of everything to come in. And it makes me proud as a city councillor to be to attend all those events, but not only to attend them, but to see how well they were organized and how professional everything was all set up. And I'm so glad we had a Saturday and Sunday event with our bands this year, because we had 2 different I guess it ranged from ages from younger kids to older seniors and stuff like that. So it's so I just want to say a big congratulations to everybody that was involved and everybody that took the time and effort, even though they're getting their staff are paid, but still it's like you can see the work and the effort that was put into it just by what was the way all the events went and the way they were so organized. So a big congratulations to everybody that was involved. And on that part, I just want to say also the awards banquet that happened on Thursday night, I think it was on the 20th. I'm so glad actually that we had 2 of us Citizens of the Year, which was we had 2 here, which was I wrote down Scott Hillier and Con Milmore. I'm so glad they shared that award this year, because 2 of them are so well deserving of all the volunteering and such great community work that 2 of them put in. And a big congratulations also to Gerald Coombs for that Lifetime Award. The amount of work that Gerald puts in and the time over 50 years with the Lions Club. That's phenomenal, right? But just want to say congratulations to all that got awards at the awards banquet. Thank you.
Thank you. Over to Councillor Lane.
Thank you very much. I'm going to keep it short, but, I think like all of us, we could all go on and on about City Days because there was just such a fantastic few days. Everyone really enjoyed themselves. But there's one event in particular that I'd like to mention, and that was Mount Pearl's first Pride Parade. And the Pride events, which was a great addition to the City Days events. There was a great turnout. Everyone that was there was loud. They were proud. And I think there's just such a great addition to our City Days lineup. So a huge kudos to everyone who came. And I bet you next year it'll be even larger turnout. Now that people know how much fun that they have in Mount Pearl for Pride, I can guarantee you this is just going to grow and grow. So I was so happy to see that this year to participate in the parade. That's going to be it for me this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Over to Councillor Fry.
Yeah, I too want to echo what my fellow councillors have been saying without going into all of it again. You know, the City Days were fantastic, and Councillor Rice he's right when he said, you know, about how professional everything was and how well organized. And when events go off without a hitch, you know, it's because there's an awful lot of planning and contingency planning and backups and everything behind the scenes. So well done to all of our staff, and also to our public works crews, because they helped with all the setup and things as well. There's a whole bunch of people involved. But I think, you know, one of the things that stood out to me about our City Days this year is that there was something for everybody. You know, there was seniors, there was youth, there was pride, there was even a pet parade for our beloved pets. So that's a lot of planning. And I think the biggest thanks of all goes out to our residents, because what a turnout we had. I saw so many familiar faces and had so many wonderful conversations. You know, it was, I am just so, my heart is full after this weekend. So thank you to everybody for being involved in that. And it was warm. That helped.
Well, it was warm, but I remember one of my colleagues talking about how sunny it was there Saturday night, and then all of a sudden the sun disappeared. But I don't know what happened there, but I agree with you, Councillor Fry. It's a federal responsibility, right? The weather, right?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm not going to repeat all that was said. My councillors have done such a great job to discuss City Days. Councillor Lane did mention the Pride in the Pearl Parade, which I think is going to gain traction. I also marched in the Pride Parade in St. John's on Sunday, and it was just it was such a great turnout at both parades. And given all the anti-sentiment that I'm seeing on social media, the negative commentary, the hatred being directed towards, you know, our friends associated with Pride, I think as community leaders, it's our place to lead by example. So I was delighted to see all of council participate in the various events. And I think the parade in St. John's was bigger than their Santa Claus parade. I heard on the news. It was quite a lot of people that marched in the parade, and hundreds along the way to get the message out that, as the tag says in Newfoundland Labrador, that this is no place for hate in our province. So I was delighted to see such a great turnout. And again, it was the weather cooperated for those that love heat and humidity. It was a great weekend for that. And again, kudos to all the staff. And I know we mentioned Rosie Stead. She was at all the events, and I really got a lot of comments about the trolley, Councillor or Director Collins. I think that was a great addition this year to get people around. They said that was unique, that was neat, and it sort of took the pressure off parking and getting to and fro. So that was a wonderful event. And I'd also want to just mention Hannah and Jaden. I know they're two summer students that helped Rosie out. They too were here for long hours, late into the night and early in the morning, and they did it with a smile on their face. So congratulations to everyone involved. Thank you, Mayor.
No, good stuff. City Days was rather enjoyable. It's turned into a little bit of a long road, right? Starts on Thursday, ends on Sunday. But without going over the same territory again, I'll just add, you know, we had some 3 strong volunteers in Wanda Tiller, a former Citizen of the Year, Steve Watson and Bill Green were helping out as well. So that was nice to see. But staff deserves a lot of kudos for putting it off. And we got a lot of compliments. The weather was fantastic. It just, I've been up to City Days in the middle of the rain. There is no backup plan. It goes ahead, rain or shine, and it worked out really, really well. So Director Collins, to you, Director Antle, Director Dalman's not here, but you know, those 3 departments all worked well together. And I think it was noted by some of the bands, for example, who said Billy and the Bruisers were there Saturday night, and really were grateful that the city puts this off. But it's not really the city, right? We put it off as part of our culture and obviously for our residents. So it's all good stuff, I have to say. I just wanted to end the meeting by turning your attention to changes that we've recently made in the chamber. I'm going to ask our CAO, just if you would please, Ms. Sperl, just talk about that a little bit. We've had a bit of review of our facilities, including City Hall. This is probably the most obvious one, but not the only one that'll be taking place or has taken place and will take place. Over to you.
Thanks, Your Worship. Yeah, as you look around, you notice that we have made some changes to chamber. So we pulled together an internal team and we work with Inclusion NL. We have a great working relationship with them, and they came in, did a little bit of an audit for us on City Hall. We wanted to focus on that, particularly since we received so many guests and members of the public here in chambers. But we're looking across the city. We plan to do a larger audit citywide to ensure that our facilities and our city events are more accessible. And we have a great, Inclusion NL tells us that we're really great scores for accessibility, but we're always looking for ways that we can improve. So happy to report that City Hall and chambers are barrier-free right now. We removed a platform by your desk, Your Worship, and we've spaced things so anyone with a mobility aid can move freely around. And we've made changes to our washroom in the lobby. And we'll do another audit and hopefully come forward with some budgetary asks so we can continue to improve across the city.
No, it's all good stuff. We've been kind of looking forward to this for a while now, right? I think the chamber is just as functional as it's ever been. And, frankly, it's very much accessible for anybody coming up here, for example, for a proclamation, or if we had to navigate throughout the chamber or to exit the chamber in the event of an emergency. So please pass on our compliments to the committee. Appreciate that.
And Mayor, I do want to say thanks to, we had 2 weeks between public meetings to do this. So the scramble was on. So the team did a great job, put a lot of focus into it, and a special thanks to Paul Davis Restoration. When I came down here yesterday, this place was a royal state. And one of their crew came in and cleaned this. It's, spit shined today. So thanks to everybody who helped out.
And I guess we're going to conclude the meeting, but I also want to recognize that we've got some people here that don't normally come here, but appreciate your attendance here tonight. So we have Corey Harvey, our Public Works Superintendent, Janice Mullins, our Human Resource Manager, and Lisa Warren, our Executive Assistant in Corporate Services. So welcome everybody and thank you. This is the time of the year where staff are on holidays and we require subs, and I must say you're the best substitutes ever. So thank you for coming. And on that note, I'm going to call for a motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Lane, seconded by Councillor Fry, and we are adjourned. Thank you.